राह में मुश्किल होंगी हजार, राह में मुश्किल होंगी हजार, तुम 2 कदम बढ़ाओ तो सही, हो जाएगा हर सपना साकार, हो जाएगा हर सपना साकार, तुम चलो तो सही, तुम चलो तो सही। मुश्किल है पर इतना भी नहीं, मुश्किल है पर इतना भी नहीं कि तू कर ना सके, दूर है मंजिल लेकिन इतनी भी नहीं, दूर है मंजिल लेकिन इतनी भी नहीं कि तू पा ना सके, तुम चलो तो सही, तुम चलो तो सही।
I am not able to hear.
Mickey, are you supposed to go next? Latesh, I think there's some problem with Mickey's connection.
Very pleasant morning to our honorable resource person, Mrs. Priyanka Kaul, Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal AI Faculty. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm speaking.
I can hear you now. Go on, please.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, Mickey, we can hear you now. Please continue.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Latesh, if you could continue. Right, you have this. Yeah.
A very pleasant good morning to the honorable resource person, Ms. Priyanka Kaul, Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal AIE, respected faculty members, and my dear batchmates. I, Kumari Latesh, along with my co-anchor Mickey Rawat, welcome you all to the today's 7th day of the Student and Faculty Development Program on behalf of Army Institute of Education. Mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of, but stigma and bias same as all. To fight stigma, it is important for society to continually promote increased awareness and acceptance of mental health and difficulties. Now, let us begin our webinar with a brief introduction of our resource person, Mrs. Priyanka Kaul, Counselor and Career Guide, Batcheet Foundation. Ma'am is pursuing her PhD in psychology from Asian International University. She has done her bachelor's in psychology from University of Delhi, master's degree in clinical psychology from IGNOU, and have published dissertation on the study of stress, anxiety, and depression among school students. Ma'am has more than 13 years of experience in mental health counseling, personality counseling, and corporate training on soft skills. Ma'am is also associated with Batcheet Foundation. Her approach is grounded in evidence-based practices and
Am I
tailored to
audible?
meet the unique needs of each individual. Now, I would like to invite Mrs. Priyanka Kaul to share her valuable insights. Ma'am, please.
Hi, thank you, Kumari Latesh. Can you guys hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. So thank you so much, all of you. As you introduced me, I'm Priyanka Kaul, a counseling psychologist. And for today, I decided to choose this topic as PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a common topic, but it's not as common as stress, anxiety, or depression we talk about. Generally, psychologists choose that topic because it's high in number, first. Second, PTSD is also required to be discussed. So today, I specially chose this topic. And I'm thankful and glad to be a part of this gathering. And by the end of this webinar session, I hope we'll be able to understand the concept of PTSD and not just help ourselves, but others who need the support. So, are we all ready to start with this session today? Yes,
Yes.
okay, great. So, on the screen, just let me know if the screen is not visible, okay? So, it's first we'll discuss about today at Army School of Education. I believe it's very important to discuss on this topic of PTSD or post traumatic stress disorder among you all. So, what exactly is PTSD? It is a mental health disorder that comes in a response to experience or witness any traumatic event. So, this may come in response if you have experienced any emotional or any physical or any harmful or life threatening experience if you had, and it had impacted you mentally, physically, socially, or your spiritual well-being. Or it can be, say, a natural disaster or a violent crime that has caused intense fear, helplessness, or horror within you. So, while many people generally experience emotional distress from PTSD after a traumatic event they have experienced, it's diagnosed when a person experiences it for a month or maybe more than a month, longer, right? So, now people will think, okay, is there any specific part or a section of people who experience this? So let me tell you, it can occur in all people, any race, any nationality, any culture, at any age, right? So it's important to discuss today, and now I'm going to talk about what are the symptoms. So here I have added two terms. One is PTSD and another is CPTSD. So first, let me just tell you how it is different. I have mentioned some of these symptoms on the screen, but the only major difference here between post-traumatic stress disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder is that you have difference or conflict in understanding yourself. So again, so what is the difference? It's basically you become, you basically go away from the reality. Your self concept, your definition of yourself hampers. So this is the difference. Okay. So what happens is you will be able to not have a good or healthy social life, intrapersonal life, because you have serious injuries to your relationship with yourself. This is complex PTSD if it goes severe. So let me tell you some of the symptoms you can face if you are going through severe CPTSD. As I told you, first is you will be having complex self concept. Okay, you will have a feeling of regular shame, guilt, blaming self, emotional dysregulation, feeling of emptiness. You will not like to go in social gatherings. You will have a lot of anger issues, and you will always feel that the other person is not able to understand you, and you will be always in, as in, feeling misunderstood. Okay, as I also told you, derealization or depersonalization. And apart from this, there would be certain physical symptoms you can go through, like body pain. Always you'll feel tired and exhausted, headaches, chest pain, suicidal thoughts, right? So these are some of the symptoms, physical symptoms you can feel of. Now you will say, okay, I have this headache every day, I have this stomach every day, that means I'm going through CET PTSD. No, it's not like that. It's not that you have all the symptoms. A individual cannot have all the symptoms at a go, right? Just understand this. And even if you have one or two symptoms, doesn't mean you are going to through complex PTSD. It's not right. There are certain therapies, there are certain diagnoses, there are certain tests you go through first, then we come to this diagnosis. Okay, so one who comes under this PDST or complex PDST, it instigates the fight, flight, and freeze mode. So, what does it mean? It's a very common saying, or a very common, you would say, a phase in psychology, which is fight, flight, and freeze response, in which fight means that your body is basically finding out, looking for a way to face any perceived threat, that too aggressively, right? Flight means your body is running away from the danger. And freezes, you get stuck. You are unable to act or move towards or against any threat you face. And this makes us feel really bad, terrible, and exposed. So, what happens now? Right now, I discussed about what are the symptoms of PDST and complex PDST, but it's also important to understand what are our reactions as a human. How do we react? Okay, so let's talk about our reactions. First is there are 3-4 few things I'll discuss about, not in detail. So what happens if you have experience with a traumatic event? The event keeps on playing in your head again and again. What will happen is you will feel always helpless, numb, and you will feel that you're not a part of this world. Your body will feel disassociation. What does that mean? You will feel always detached, away from the ground, from the reality, from the world. Okay, next is you'll always, your body will react as always be anxious, which is known as hypervigilance anxiety in PDST, which means extreme stress conditions, and it will trigger to your memory loss and unable to focus or have a good concentration, which may again result into vivid memories of the event, flashbacks. Okay. Next is you will always have this feeling of shame, guilt, or self blaming. You will always be guilty about yourself. What happens is it can result into you being impulsive and aggressive. And in return, you can actually self harm, or you can have increased use of substance abuse. Then probably people might say, okay, if you're going through this thing, why don't you try to avoid those memories? But again, people going through PDSD, here also, if one is trying to avoid these symptoms, as in by not thinking about the event, it can actually increase their distorted and negative view of the self, which can also lead to, you know, struggling with their relationship, whether it's socially or the relationship with self. So again, if you're trying not to remember those events, person who is going through this challenge, this problem, or this disorder, at that time he will have a negative impact on himself. So the therapies and the counseling sessions are very critical and under supervision. To better understand, what I was trying to do is playing an activity, but then later I realized maybe it won't be feasible here. So let's do an activity here. I won't be able to play, but I'll ask you all. So tell me, so what sort of, this is just a simple activity. I want to understand what sort of sound annoys you and why, if you can. Can you guys talk, or it's muted?
No, they can hear you, but they can only write in the chat box when they'll
Okay. So
write.
it's
And
okay. You can write in the chat box,
okay,
right?
students to please
So
write their
yeah.
answers in chat box. Or if
So
Mickey
simply,
and
I want to
would
know.
like to
Okay,
tell
okay.
them what ma'am is asking.
Yeah. So I really just simply want to know what sounds annoys you and why. And don't just manipulate or make it up. The very first thought which comes in your mind, just mention that. And if you have nothing to say, you feel not annoyed with any sound, then great, good enough. Then I'll tell you. I have a lot of noises to be annoyed of. Okay, barking of dog. Okay. I am a pet lover and I have a pet, by the way. That's okay. So, barking of a dog. Any reason why?
No, it's not soothing to the ears. Like,
Okay, great. So I'll give you some examples again. So for me, though I am a mother and I have a baby, but at times when you're trying to actually focus on a task, so I just get irritated with the noise of a crying baby. I think it takes away my mental peace for some time, and I'm like, okay, zoned out. So there are certain sounds which makes us feel uncomfortable. These
Ma'am,
sounds,
there
yeah.
are certain inputs, like a person Pragya has said that, ma'am, construction sounds.
Construction sounds. So
Yeah.
trust me, before I sat here for this session, there was a construction sound, and I went to that person, please stop it for an hour. So it's so irritating that you are not able to focus, or actually it's not about the session, even can't able to practice it all alone. So yes, so both the examples which I got today are quite relatable to me in practical life.
One has said crying sounds of an infant.
Crying sound of a baby, yes. So if you guys see, what all examples you are giving me is really regular examples. You know, we touch wood, we are not going through any such situation, but still, if any of these happens, we feel really annoyed, irritated, disturbed, and we may react badly to the other person as well. So the person going through such challenge, if just understand, these sounds are actually related to one of the other trigger they have gone through. So this is one of these very simple activity just to make you understand. For us, this sound may be just an irritation. Okay, we know that it will go away and we'll be all fine. But for a person going through PDST or complex PDST, they might trigger him, or any event they have faced related to that sound, right? Okay, let's come to the next slide. One second, I'll change it. Okay, now let's understand what are the factors which are affecting PDST. On the screen, I have mentioned four, technically four, but there are several factors that can affect an individual risk of developing PDST after experiencing a traumatic event. Some of the examples, as I've mentioned, the severity of the trauma. The more severe and life threatening the event is, the higher the risk of developing PDSD. Right? Next is the length of the trauma. If a person has gone through a prolonged exposure to traumatic event, such as physical sexual abuse, can increase the risk of developing PDSD. Third is personal factors. Certain personal factors, such as history of a medical condition, health condition in family, or a lack of social support, or a history of a childhood trauma, these can also be reason to develop a PDSD issue in a person, human. And biological factors, there may be genetic factors that make individual more inclined to develop PDSD. But apart from these four, there are other events, if I talk about in an informal way, that can be considered as the possible causes of PDSD. For an example, if you have witnessed or if you were involved in any of the serious incidents, such as a car crash, Okay. Or if one has been subjected to repetitive any sort of abuse, any sort of sexual abuse or substance abuse, can also result into the occurring of PTSD in that person. If one has gone through childhood abuse, okay, or domestic abuse for prolonged good period of time, then again can develop PTSD. If one has been kidnapped or held hostage, and one has that fear from their life, can also develop PTSD. There are many reasons and causes. For an example, traumatic childbirth, if one has had, or one has experienced any natural disaster comeback. Okay, if one has lost a child or a family friend or a family member, or one is diagnosed with a life threatening condition. These are all the possible causes of PTSD. There is a new n number of list of causes, but again, one basic factor is it's not just one experience. If one person has experienced it for a long period of time, say a month or more, then the possibility is higher, right? Okay, so coming to the next slide, which means let's talk it out. So I'm not sure how many of you would be able to come, up front and talk about it, but the purpose of this activity is, if any one of you wants to discuss, if you were a witness or involved in any of the, or experienced any of the physical injury or pain, or if you have seen accidents on road, or someone close having a serious illness, or maybe witnessed a death, then if you want to share any of the response or reaction you have or experience you have faced, and how it has impacted you, even if it was at minute level, you can just mention in the chat section. That's okay. Loneliness,
Yeah, waiting for comments.
stressed. Great. Being a psychologist, I generally counsel, most of my cases are that they are away from the family. Mostly, it's not generic, but and they actually don't know how to spend their day. Even if they are with their family, they feel always lost, always having no goal. I don't know what to do. So loneliness is a very simple term. One may think what issue you will get, or what disorder or psychological condition you may develop with loneliness. But it's again a very severe if one is going through that phase. Right. Stressed again. So a mother after giving a birth, or even her during her pregnancy stage, can also develop PTSD, right? Because that phase, if someone is not liking the way her body is changing or developing, can also result into post-traumatic stress disorder, which will obviously impact her pregnancy. It's all related. But yes, like Mickey, I've mentioned fear, but fear from what? Phobia from what? So again, it's the right answer. There is no right or wrong in psychology. That is the best part of psychology. But fear you can have from anything, right? So that's great. Thank you for your responses. So what we have understood, one second. Something has blocked screen. Yeah. Okay. So what we have understood till now is sound stimulation through an activity. I'll also talk about the sensory stimulation. What does that mean? if a person who has experienced any traumatic situations, traumatic experience, okay? But how does sensory stimulation plays a part? I'll give you a very simple example. A dark room with a dim light or a flickering light can also create disorientation and affect a PTSD. Okay, so another example I'll give you, what happens is trigger. I spoke about triggering right now. So how does trigger plays a part? Even a simple scent or a smell that is associated with a traumatic event, or a photo or a video that is associated with an event, can actually trigger people at that point of time, and that too immediate. So these are certain stimulations which can happen on the spot. We have spoke about stimulations and how they affect, but at this time I also would want to, which is the important part of this session, is how do we help others and self-help. Okay, so I'll talk about the treatments. Before I move on to treatments, does anyone has any questions till now or would like to share an experience? Because I think I am going too fast. So, do you have any questions or anything to discuss about? Then I can, answer them or help you out with it.
If anybody has any question, they can type in the chat box and we'll let ma'am know.
So I would assume till now we all know what is PTSD and what are the symptoms, how do we react, how body reacts. Till now we are clear with it. Great. Okay. Fine. So I'll talk about the treatments then. How can we help others and ourselves? Okay, so as you can see on the screen, I have mentioned 3 psychological therapies, okay, or treatments. But again, not everyone is okay with it. And before I move on, I want to make a disclaimer or a note that it is important to remember that everyone seeking help for PTSD doesn't mean that they are weak, or they do not have courage to confront, they talk about a traumatic event they have experienced. So you should, as a person who is watching it, observing it, or a close person, should help that person to actually heal. And that is possible. You help them with the self-help treatments or help them with the therapies, obviously with the help of a professional doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So if it's not that severe, then you can always first go to a psychologist. They'll help with their certain therapies they have without medication. And if it goes prolonged and severe, then we'll be needing medications and certain therapies. Okay, now let's talk about some of the basic, apart from these 3 what are on the screen. I'll talk about the basic ways to actually help yourself, self-help, or help others in a very informal way without seeking professional help. What happens is, if you think like I got answered stressed or loneliness or fear, so what you can do is, even if you're going through small if anything has initiated in you, in your mind, in your brain, start working on it. I always say to my people I help with or counsel to, that always have a productive routine. So productive routine is not like having a busy routine throughout or not able to take time for rest. Everything is important. So if you have a 12-hour thing, okay, and you've decided, okay, this is my 12-hour, how to spend on it, at least decide these are the 3 main tasks I have to work upon today. So I'm not asking you to make a sort of a timetable, but challenge yourself every day in a good way, that these are the 3 things I'll work upon it today. And by the end of the day, I'll actually completed and strike that out. And striking that out will actually give me a feeling of accomplishment. So not many, just 3 tasks. If you think 3 is big and you have nothing much more productive to do, you can start with 1. Probably slowly and eventually you can start giving deadlines to you. So for an example, this task I have to complete by in 2 hours. Okay, that is something else, and we'll talk about it maybe in future or further sessions. It can be a part of more disorders a person goes through, but talking currently about PDSD. So what you can do is spend time with others to avoid becoming withdrawn. So one said loneliness, so try to be social. And again, I'm not trying to say that be social 24/7. There is a limit of everything, and what there is a saying, right? Excessive of everything is bad. So socially also there should be a line drawn. So but if you feel you're all alone, try to make friends. Try to interact with people. Try to have a good selective company of people which can actually make you feel worthy, can make you feel good, and always uplifted. Okay, choose your circle. Second is, what I suggest to my students is that pursue your hobbies. If you have a lot of free time and you don't know how to go about your day, start working on your skill or passion. It's not necessary that if you don't want to invest any money, that's okay. If you have money, if you can, then you start with learning a new course or a new skill. But if you do not, then you must be having any hobby or skill or passion. Pursue it. Start, if you're good in paint, start painting. It will help you to release your endorphins, happy hormones. Next is, try to talk it out with the people you are close to or you feel connected. If you do not want to take that psychological help initially, if you think that I have people but I am afraid to talk, you should think about it again and communicate your experiences with the person, family person or close friend, if you are comfortable or if you trust that person. Okay. And if you do not have any such help, then probably I would suggest a psychologist. Okay. See, again, there are many agencies or NGO like Batcheet Foundation I am associated with from last 2 years. And if you want to be, need any psychological help or discuss with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they'll help you out. You don't need to mention your details. It's anonymous as well. And confidential, of course, right? So the other way is, you can also write a journal. If you feel safe, if you feel your journal will be safe, you can also write it out in a diary, or you can write it down online as well. Next is, give yourself some time and realize. This word realize is a very powerful word. Sometimes what happens is, we know what all is happening around us, but we feel difficult to accept and realize. So you need to give time to yourself, give some space, and make yourself understand that you cannot control each and everything. So just relax, take a deep breath, and talk it out to yourself. So it happens with me when I'm really stressed out, or I have something important upcoming, any session, any meeting, any webinar session, or anything, any important thing. I just first talk it out to myself or give a session to myself. How will it look like? And take 2 to 3 minutes out and meditate, breathe in, breathe out, and relax myself, and then start. It's not going to take much of your time, trust me, and you just see the after effects. It's always going to be positive, always. Next is, ask for support from people who actually can help you. Or so what I mean is, there are locally some support groups, offline and online, who actually has suffered or gone through the same experience, and they need people who can talk to them. share their experiences and relieve themselves. So you can actually look for such groups offline or online, preferred offline, but again it depends on your time and your flexibility. You can go for this, and they'll also, so the best part is no one will judge you there because you don't know each other, right? And there are obviously support groups. So this support group one was basically unknown people and not trained, who have gone through the same experience. The other support group is led by trained professionals who can actually help you in facilitating discussions. They can help you with what you are going through and how to overcome it. So this is a support group. No counseling session, no psychological sessions, nothing. Apart from this, you can also focus on, or you should indeed focus on, a good and healthy diet. Okay, well balanced diet. So you all know why, right? I don't need to tell you why a good diet is important. And always people say diet and exercise is really important. And this is something personally also I have experienced a lot of challenges before and after. Like before, when I was not focusing on my diet and exercise, and now that I am a fitness freak, you can say. So I know how it actually changes you, not just physically but mentally. As I told you, generally, as I just told you, that I am a mother, and during my that stage, pregnancy stage, I was actually not able to accept the way I was looking. So rather than cribbing, which happens naturally, but you have to accept and realize, just like I told you. And this is what I did. The best part of being a psychologist, you can counsel yourself. So I started working out on my mental balance and my physical fitness and a good diet for some time, and I saw the positive changes. And this is how, even you just start a day, as in, not just, it won't change in a day, but there is a routine. It is being said that minimum 21 days, if you follow any specific task or an action, then it starts to become a habit, which can go up to 66 days. So try, right? And apart from that, one needs a good amount of sound sleep, not just rest. A sound sleep, a sound rest. And obviously on it, just try to avoid any sort of substance use like alcohol or anything. So try to avoid, I mean, it's a total no. But again, it also depends on your company. As I told you, you have to be very selective with the company, with the circle, with your friends you are spending most of your time with. Okay. If you feel you are going through any of the symptoms just we discussed about, definitely what all I basic things I advised you, you can start with that. And if you think it's more than just the simple thing we spoke about, then probably you would need healthcare professional who can actually create a plan for you, a routine plan, a treatment plan, and help you connect with the support groups nearby. Okay, so it's best time to realize if you're going through and work towards it. You don't need to feel bad or shy about it. As I told you, it's not a sign of weakness. And the person who is coming up with this, he is the one, or she is the one with courage, because they have this courage to deal with their pain and thinking of healing it. So maintain a good productive routine, structured routine with deadlines. Again, when we were a child and we had a difficult parent, as in strict parents, that time we used to feel, my friend is so lucky, his or her parents are so cool. But when you grow up at a certain point, at a certain age, one feels like that was the best thing happened with us. Maybe that strictness, that discipline, that routine help us to be what we are today. So somewhere now, if you do not have a routine, just try to add 1, 2, 3 slowly, and eventually try to add one or the other task in your routine, and it'll actually feel good. By end of the day, you'll feel that you have done something good for yourself. You will sleep actually nicely, because you'll feel you have done productive work. You have not just wasted your day. Okay. And avoid major life decisions. uh, what does that mean? Like changing your careers immediately, or moving out of where you are currently. Okay. And just major changes in your behavior, not liking or being violent or angry. Okay. So these are some of the things which can help you to calm down and be in the current situation, which is also known as mindfulness. This is again a very important term in psychology, and very less of people understand the actual meaning of mindfulness. You may feel, okay, mindfulness is being in the current, uh, in the present. But what does that mean? So for an example, I'll give you a lot of examples with my life. Okay. Reality. So again, example of a mindfulness is, if I am here giving you a session, and I might know, okay, next thing, next slide for an example, or a next sentence, okay, I don't know what to say, and I'm literally blank. But mindfulness is that this is the topic I know, this is the topic I have been helping out others. So even if you don't know what to say, as in you do not have a formal written note, but you know, through your experience, your experience, the reality, you have read this, you have helped others. That is mindfulness, able to help yourself in the current situation, that you can do it, it. You don't need any notes, you don't need any ppts also, right? So that is mindfulness, being in the current situation. If you are at home, you know nothing, you are blank, you don't know what to do in your routine, but you have some interest, but you have some passions, and you always think of, when I would have time, I work on my skill, I would paint this wall, I would read this novel. Now that you have time, you can actually start. That is mindfulness. So these are some examples of self-help treatments. But what I have mentioned on the screen is three therapies. So this is psychological. Only trained psychologists or trained professionals can help you with these three therapies. So first is cognitive processing therapy. So it's basically a 12 weeks sort of a course of treatment, which includes your weekly sessions to somewhere around 60 to 90 minutes. Okay. And I'm just giving you just not trying to go in depth, but what happens is the psychologist try to talk about the event you have experienced, and he'll actually help you to know how your thoughts have impacted your current life, has impacted your real life. They will also help you to write it down, what you have experienced. Okay. And when you write it down, at that process only, you will be able to examine how you think about the trauma, and you will also able to figure out the solutions to, find new ways to live with it. Because we cannot forget the trauma or any experience we have had, even if it's a very small one. I just we did an activity of sounds. But even if right now, if I ask you if you had any experience in your school, or in your with friends, any small experience which was bad or negative for you, you will have those experiences in mind, right? We cannot actually forget an incident we have experienced or seen, but we live with it. We start to find ways and accept it. Okay, fine, I'll be careful the next time. That is cognitive processing therapy, right? Next we come to is prolonged exposure therapy. What here, it is a very long session therapy. It goes up to 15 to 20 weeks. And in this, if what happens is, if you're trying to avoid the stances of what you have experienced. So it basically reminds you of that traumatic event, and the professional will here help you to experience and help you basically to confront them, to remember them, and come up with the new ways of living with it. So it's a very prolonged sessions. It's somewhere around 15 to 20 session it goes up to, and per session is somewhere around 90 minutes approx. And if you are early in the treatment, then here the psychologist or a professional will help you with some relaxation techniques or exercises to ease your anxiety. Whenever you confront or think about that event, it will trigger to anxiety. And they'll also help you out with some meditation exercises like breathing exercises to help you calm down. So you are confronting the situation or experience you have experienced, and now you have accepted it. And whenever it triggers you, they'll help you with the exercises to calm it down. Right? I hope till now it's simple, and I've kept it really in easy words, in easy language. Right? Okay. Coming to the last one is EMDR. Okay. I know you might feel that we are no way about, we are no way about to deal with such situation, or maybe why I am just telling you those therapies, it's not coming in your syllabus and all. But the purpose of this session is mental well-being and awareness. And this is the most critical part of the entire PPT. Treatments, and especially self-help, and if someone needs help through professional help. Right? That is why I chose this topic to talk on Aram se. So with EMDR, which is eye movement sensitization and reprocessing, you might not have to tell the therapist about your experience. If you will not tell, then what will happen? He will basically observe, he'll concentrate on you, your actions. He'll watch you, he'll listen to you. What are your body movements, your eye movements? Okay. And based on that, so for an example, if you're moving a hand again and again, or flashing a light, or making a sound, so the aim of this therapy is basically to help you in think positive about what you have experienced, able to think about something positive while you are remembering or in that zone of remembering the trauma. So again, it's a very, very, very long, prolonged counseling session and takes up to 3 months. Counseling in itself means patience. It's not a magical wand which will help you immediately, but it's like that. I should not say like an Ayurvedic treatment, but it's a slow process. What we need is a psychologist needs the trust, right? And the client trust and patience that things will change. Again, one has to follow. It's not that I just said and changes will start to happen in the mind. No, you have to follow, implement. Even 60-70% of implementation will help you. Okay, so we have spoke a lot about the treatment part, and I am close to closing of this session. I would want to now summarize what we have gone through in this entire session with just simple 10 points. Okay. Till now, do you have any sort of questions or any concerns, any questions or any concept, any treatment which wasn't clear and you want to ask me? If you have, then you can just write it down. If nothing, then fine. I'll move on to summarizing the session. Should I?
Are you getting any response right now? If you could cross check. Latesh, you're on mute. Both of you are on mute. Mickey and Latesh.
Ma'am, now for the validity session, I would like to call Suzuki Bituri.
Ma'am,
No, no,
now
no. It's not the validity session.
AI.
I can't hear you. It's echoing actually.
Mickey, we are not in the validatory session right now. Ma'am would just like to conclude right now. Okay? Priyanka, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you can go ahead. Right, we do not see any response in the chat box as of now.
Okay, fine. So, talking about summarizing this entire PDST in just 10 points. Okay, so it also includes some facts and myths. Okay, so the very first thing is, 1 second. Yeah. So, post traumatic stress disorder can develop after experiencing any or witnessing any traumatic event. So, for an example, such as military combat or sexual or physical assault, natural disasters, if you have seen any car incident, okay. So, these are some of the triggers or possible causes of PDSD. Okay, second thing, about 8 of every 100 women, so say 8%, or 4 of every 100 men will have PDSD at some point in their life. And it is generally more prone in females than men. Then third is symptoms of PDSD includes intrusive aggressive thoughts, nightmares, avoidance of reminders of the trauma. You try not to remember the trauma event, but then it triggers you more. Negative changes in your mood and thinking, and complex, if we talk about complex PDSD, then derealization and disassociation, which means detachment from the reality. Next point, PDSD can lead to a range of complications like substance abuse, depression, and even self harm and suicidal thoughts. Talking about the treatment for PDSD, it includes self-help. What I just told you, I told you about approx 10 points how you can help yourself and others without involvement of a professional person. But it also includes a combination of psychotherapies, medication, and self-help strategies just I discussed. Next is early intervention of PDSD is really important to prevent from becoming it chronic or severe. Seeking professional help as soon as possible if you have experienced a traumatic event can improve your outcomes. And initially, I told you it's not a sign of weakness or failure. Okay. So if you are seeking a help, that is a courageous thing. Even in today's time, talking about psychology or psychological helps, if you tell to your parents or someone, that you are going to talk to a psychologist about any incident you're going through, any experience you are going through in your behavior, in your daily life, it can be difficulty in coping up with your daily life. Everyone will be like, why do you need a psychologist? Why do you need a counselor? It's all no worth. But that is what it comes in our it starts with our society, it starts with our upbringing, it starts with our mentality, what we have been said, experienced, and brought up like. So now that you all are educated, you all are aware, even if it's okay if your families do not believe in it or your societies do not believe in this concept of psychology or counseling or such disorders. One may think there is nothing known as PTSD or depression or anxiety. But till the time you do not face, you won't understand. And knowingly, unknowingly, females go through it a lot than men, and they're not ready to accept it. They know they have this thing. You'll see not trying to be specific, but you'll see majorly your mothers being sad, crying for no reason, being depressive, in their thoughts, started to forget things, even if it's not the age factor. It's not that it doesn't happen with men, But what I'm trying to say here is females go through it a lot than men. So that are the basic symptoms. So that is why we say, okay, try to talk to your parents or be social once in a day. Take out just 5 minutes, and if you're away from your parents or your people whom actually you value, right, respect, value, you just make a video call. Nowadays we have everything digital and online. Just make a video call, talk to them, and those 5 minutes is something will change your bonding with your parents. And they'll be, they'll not have that much of stress and tension for you as well, because you're staying away, and it will help them as well. The child knows what are the possible reasons my mother or father is going through what and how I can help. So these are very small steps you can take towards the people you love. Okay. Now, while I was earlier also taking sessions on PTSD, so someone told me, okay, what is the age group it happens? As I opened up with this sentence, that it can affect anyone, any nationality, any culture, any age, any gender, at any point of time. Okay, it's not that it happens in early teenage or old age. No, any point of time in your life. And the best part is, though it's a lifelong condition, it is, because obviously you've experienced something and it has impacted you to an extent that you're not able to work in your proper routine. It's a lifelong condition, but the best part is, with the proper treatment, early intervention, and with helpful professional support groups, you can actually able to accept and manage your symptoms and lead a fulfilling life. So I have summarized this entire PTSD concept, in these 10 points, and here I finish my session for today. Thank you all again, and if again you have any questions to ask, I am okay with it. You can write it down, your questions, and I'll answer it now. But again, I believe I was quite simple and clear. If you want to talk about any such experience, you want to write a question and talk about any such family, friend, or someone close is going through, and you need to ask me right away, right now, you can. If you have any term you didn't understand while I was talking, you can ask. And if it's not just PTSD, any other thing, you can definitely ask me, not a problem. We have time. We have enough time. So with this, I would also like to say that, as Juhi introduced, Latesh introduced me. Yeah. So I'm a psychologist as well as a career coach. And you can always reach out to me if you need any psychological help or a career guidance, both. So, and a founder of Career Reset, just started this initiative to help others in their career as well as psychological help. So yes, I am open to your questions.
Any questions from anybody? Anchors, if you could check if there are any questions in the box and turn on your videos, both of the anchors.
Ma'am, there are no any response till now.
All right. Priyanka ma'am, I had a question. Like, how do you convince somebody that what they're experiencing right now is because of PTSD? Like, how do you convince them that there exists certain things like that? Because I know somebody like who had an unfortunate accident and the wife died, and now that person doesn't go on that road. He doesn't go to hospitals. So maybe how do you convince them that it is not healthy adopting this attitude?
Okay. It is a quite relatable question, Juhi, and this is one of the example of PTSD. But again, it also depends if that person was too close and that person is not going on that road again, you will have to confront that person. So if that person is close to you, just talk it out. Just try to understand that what we are not asking them to forget or to travel on that road again, but we are trying to make them understand, if that person has experienced this, how long will he keep this thought inside him. So let's talk it out. Let's make him understand that what has happened. What are the solutions or new ways to work towards it? So, for an example, it's not just about the road, but someday, you or the person who is more close to can visit or travel through that road, but not alone, with someone whom they trust, and make them realize, see, nothing has changed. What has happened and can happen with anyone. But what he's going through, maybe someone else is also going through, and they need him to help them out to come out of the situation. So you can take him on that road someday, with you or someone he's close to, or trust someone that closely, and make them realize is everything is same. What has happened cannot change, but you have to accept and move on. There, we cannot change the road, we cannot change the routine, we cannot change the routine. We can find is the new way. I mean, there are many other paths one can go through, but if it's not hampering him to a very major extent, then avoiding a road is fine. But if it's that severe, then confrontation is required. Right?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions you see, anchors? Anything from your end? Then we'll wrap it up.
No responses, ma'am.
All right. Okay, then you can start with your part. The valedictory thing.
So I believe I was that simple and clear that no questions are coming.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Can you hear that construction sound I was giving you an example of?
All right, yes, we can.
Annoying.
All right, anchors, if you could like start your valedictory session right now. Latesh and Mickey, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I think there is a problem with Mickey's connection today, Latesh. So if you have the script, please continue.
Sure, ma'am.
Now, for the validity session, I would like to call Ms. Juhi Biduri, Assistant Professor AIE and Convener SFDP, to present a report on 1 week SFDP.
All right. Okay. So thank you. I would like to start by reading the report of this 1 week student faculty development program. Pallavi ma'am, just 5 minutes more. Our principal will be here soon after I read the report. 5 to 10 minutes. Priyanka ma'am, 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So good afternoon to all of you. I'll just like to summarize, read the report for the 7-day student faculty development program. Mental health and well-being are two intricately related concepts and are primarily the core of every individual's healthy and happy living. There is no feeling of wellness and growth unless the mental well-being is in sync with the physical, social, and spiritual well-being of the person. Today, the entire fraternity of teaching and learning face many challenges on everyday basis as they try to keep up the pace with the demand of the fast increasing life. Keeping the above view in mind, the Internal Quality Assurance Cell IQAC of Army Institute of Education, in collaboration with Kasturba Institute of Psychology and Behavioral Medicine KIPBM, organized a 1 week student faculty development program on the theme of mental health and emotional well being for happy living among teacher and learning society. From 1st May 2023 to 7th May 2023. The week-long session began from 1st May with the inaugural session commencing from 10 a.m. with Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal, AIE, welcoming the guest of our Miss Vibha, initiator of Muskan, Tara Shri Foundation and Vibha Space Trust, Dr. Prathibha A. Singh, Director and Consultant Clinical Psychologist, KIPBM, and Dr. Rushi Naz, Director, Amity Institute of Behavioral and Allied Sciences, Amity University, Noida. After the felicitation of all the resource person, Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal, AIA, delivered the welcome address, adding zeal to the already enthusiastic participants. The morning session of the day began at 10:30 a.m. with Ms. Biba talking about dealing with stress and anxiety and conducting a set of 5 activities which were conducted throughout the session, which helped in calming our inner selves and brought a sense of peace. The afternoon session, which began at 2 p.m., was taken by Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal AIE, on life skills and emotional intelligence. The session which ma'am in the session ma'am talked about 10 essential life skills as an activity. She also asked the participants to write one quality you like about someone and one quality you dislike, which led to a lot of internal introspections from the participants. For the second day, that is on 2nd May 2023, the resource person for morning session was Dr. Rushi Nas, who talked about mindfulness based path for happy living. She discussed about a myriad of issues starting ranging from OCD to other mental illness. She also talked about adaptation and changes. The second day of the afternoon session was taken by Dr. Parul Maheshwari, who talked about being resilient for success. She talked about 7 C's of success and discussed their importance in developing resilience. The third day of SFDP on 3rd May 2020 began with Dr. Aparna, Professor, Lady Irwin College, Delhi University, taking a very practical and interesting session with her playing games like mental health tambola and her take on snake and ladders, incorporating important aspects of mental health and the well-being. The enthusiastic participation from the students clearly indicated that how the session was a great success in catching the attention of participants towards the pressing issues of mental illness and health. The afternoon session of day 3 was taken by Dr. Prathibha A. Singh, who talked about the adverse impact of stress on the overall health of people. She also gave a good real life example to inculcate the mindful practices, exercise, and seeking help when needed. On the fourth day of SFDP, on 4th May 2023, the resource person for the day was Dr. Sangeet Sharma, Associate Professor and an NLP certified trainer. Sir talked about the concept of 2Ds, delete and distortion, and how human can achieve internal peace if they delete the bad and negative thoughts or experiences of their life and focus on the good part. He also talked about NLP, that is neuro linguistic programming, and how it can be used to achieve mental peace. The afternoon session of the day was taken again by Dr. Pratibha A. Singh, who in that session talked about exploring the concepts of positive mental health and well-being. She talked about the types of problems student teachers can face and the importance of one's own mental and physical health for being an effective teacher. On the day 5th of SFDP, that is on 5th May 2023, an online session was held from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and the resource person was for the day was Ms. Juhi Biduri, Assistant Professor AIE and a mental health advocate. The topic for discussion was suicide prevention and strategies, where she began with a brief introduction of mental health and illness, and then went on to explain the strategies, the symptoms, and the warning signs of how to look out for a person who may be having suicidal thoughts. She wrapped up the session by discussing important mental helpline issued by Government of India, Ministry of Health and Education. The day 6th of SFDP on 6th May 2023 saw Miss Vibha, initiator of Muskan Tarashri Foundation and Vibha Space, who talked on the joy of gratitude. Joy Shop for Happiness and Well-being. The workshop entailed various activities from writing a love letter to yourself, telling one quality you love about yourself, to going into the past and experiencing some good memory you have. She also did an activity where the person was had to call or text one member of the family whom they really loved, or they're thankful for, and they had to do it on the spot. It also a very positive experience and positive reaction from the participants when they were very happy to text and call the one person they love in their family, and a good experience. The session helped in people with getting more close to their inner self. The afternoon session of that day, that is 6th May 2023, was taken by Dr. Kavita and Karun, principal of Smita Patil School, Mumbai, who interacted on connecting the self and society for mental well-being. She talked about the role of parents, especially, who contributed in health, mental peace and well-being of the student. She also elaborated on the importance of not forcing a child to come to school and study, but encompassing activities that would result in the child themselves being interested in the session. The last day of SFDP, that is 7th May 2023, was taken by a psychologist, Ms. Priyanka Kaul, who talked about post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. She discussed various dimensions of PTSD, what experiences, what factors can lead to PTSD, along with what are the resources and different types of therapy and help one can reach out if they feel they suffer from PTSD. I would like to thank all and conclude my report by saying that it was a very enriching and enlightening 1 week. I thank all the resource person for giving their time for our 1 week, 1 month, yes, sorry, 1 week student faculty development program. I would like to thank Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal AIE, who took this initiative for organizing this SFDP. Over to you, anchors.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to wrap up the session by calling Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal AIE, for vote of thanks and then final parting words for you. As we wrap up this session, long student and faculty development program, ma'am, if you could do us the honor with your enlightening and encouraging words.
Yes, ma'am will join in just 1 minute. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Prathibha Singh. She is not able to join actually, Priyanka ma'am. She has been listening to the session, the director of KIPBM, but unfortunately, due to some technical glitch, she is not able to join. She sent you her best wishes. She just texted me that send the resource person her best wishes. She also thank you for giving your time, and due to some glitch she is not able to join, but thank you, Pratibha ma'am. She sends her best wishes to you and the Teaching Learning Fraternity.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to please inform her. Thank you so much. Thank you to the entire team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Pratibha ma'am also wanted to add about the PTSD, that she said if you could take a spiritual angle to it, the Sahaj Yoga, that
Hmm.
also helps a lot in the PTSD. She wanted to add to it that that spiritual orientation will help a lot. So one should not say that why me, that why this thing happened to me, but address and acknowledge it and move forward. So thank you, Pratibha
Absolutely.
ma'am. Thank you for your words. Now we'll just yeah, ma'am is here. Yes. Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome, please. If you could start. Anchors, please call on ma'am.
Now, I would like to wrap up the session by calling Dr. Abhilasha Gautam, Principal AIE, for vote of thanks and then final parting words for you. As we wrap up this week long student faculty development program, ma'am, if you could do us the honor with the enlightening and encouraging words.
I think ma'am got disconnected. Just 1 minute.
Juhi ma'am, am I audible? But I can't hear you all. For a long time, I'm facing this issue. I'm re-entering in the studio, so please let me know whether I am audible. I am audible, but you are not audible. I'm trying again. Give me 1 minute, okay?
Just 5 more minutes, please. Ma'am is trying from her end.
Juhi ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. We
Okay,
can
you are,
hear you.
but I'm not able to turn on my camera. I don't know why I'm facing this
Yes,
problem.
ma'am. We are not able to see you. Earlier, we were able to see you and hear you both.
Yes, but now I'm not able to turn on my camera. Oh, I don't know why is it happening. So,
Ma'am, we can see you now.
no, it's fine. Okay, okay, thank you. Sorry for this interruption. I have seen that I have attended the whole session actually, and that was really wonderful, Priyanka ma'am. It was really nice to listen to all the uh, detailing of this topic, post-traumatic stress disorder, and yeah, Juhi ma'am, as Juhi ma'am also talked about this thing that this journey of 1 week was all about how to deal with all the issues related to the mental health. So the objective of planning this 7 day student and faculty development program was just to give a platform to each and everyone, especially the ones who are in the teaching learning fraternity in this field, to come up and talk about their mental health issues if they are having any, and to be open about uh, accepting the challenges which we, our students, and the teachers are actually facing. Because I strongly believe that teachers are those who deals with the behavior, who shapes the behavior, and the impact of a teacher stays on the child for the lifelong. So a teacher must be a role model in terms of how they behave and what they feel. So it is very important for a teacher to keep the physical as well as mental health up to the mark, to give a good example to the students. So that was one reason of having this student and faculty development program. And the second reason was this, that in this rapidly changing world, we are actually running fast, but we are leaving behind a lot of things. Maybe happiness is also one that thing that we are leaving behind. And this happiness, we have attach so many ifs and buts with our happiness. There are many of the conditions apply, kind of asterisk we have put on that happiness. And that satisfaction level of the people earlier was used to be there in the family. Now, again, there are many ifs and buts on that satisfaction level, and which we have attached with the happiness. But I strongly again believe that there should not be any parameters of happiness. We should see goodness in everything which is around us. We should have that insight that we can appreciate that everything that we are having. And the whole these 7 days were about that only. And I'll start on with the journey. The first day when Vibha ma'am was talking about stress, when she was talking about how to deal with anxiety, that day also she focused on the same thing, that stress and anxiety are the very much part of our life, and we cannot detach these general things. We can detach ourselves with stress and life, as these are those forces which keeps us going. So if we start taking this thing in this positive manner, maybe most of our problems will be solved. Then the session of Rushi ma'am again was about dealing with stress, and focus of her lecture was also about how to meditate, how to introspect in terms of dealing with the stress. So her message was very clear that first we should start on with ourselves. Everything starts from the self. If we are feeling good, then the whole world, we will see that the whole world is rocking. And if we are feeling bad, then the whole world will be bad for us, because it is how we are envisioning our environment. That is what Rushi ma'am actually stressed in her lecture. And Sangeet sir very much clearly stated that there are two Ds, the delete and the distortion. What matters most is how do we deal with the situations around us. We can either delete, and we can either react, and we have to again choose. Again, we are the ones who have to choose how to react in the situation, or is the situation worthy to be reacted? Are the people worthy to be there in our lives to disturb us, to make us happy? Why we have given our switch of happiness or getting us angry to anyone else? Why we have given our remote control to anyone else in our life? So again, we have to think that whatever happens, we are the biggest reason of each and everything in our life. If we want something to happen to us, then it will happen. And if we want something not to happen to us, it would not happen, at least in terms of our thinking. At least somewhere some uncontrollable variables will always be there, but we can choose wisely to react in those situations. So we have to be selfish, but we have to be wisely selfish. We have to choose on where to react and how to react. All the situations, all the peoples are not there to uh, uh, seek our attention, seek our reaction. Again, one more uh, part of this 7 days SFDP was joyful workshop. How to be joyful in every situation. That 3 hours of session again by Dr. Bibha was amazing. And I must say my students were very responsive. I should appreciate all the students of AIE and all those participants who participated in that workshop. They come up with their fears and hopes in their life, and how do they envision themselves. So in a nutshell, again, Juhi ma'am talked about suicide prevention. That was so wonderful to know that again, in all these sessions, I must say in a nutshell, that the crux of all these sessions was nothing but that the journey starts from the self, and we should value ourselves. That was what Juhi ma'am stressed in her lecture. And again, Priyanka ma'am today talked about a lot of strategies, that how can we deal with the post-traumatic stress disorder. How she explained that small things, small little things, the voice, the sounds, the name of the people, the happenings, and these little things are nothing but triggering our own emotions. It means again emotions are there within us, and we have to again control those. It is we. That's we people that who have to control, who have to keep a control on all these emotions, because the time we will lose our control on ourselves, someone else will take the charge of it, and situations could never be normal again if and the time we will give our charge to someone else. So that self-awareness part, as Parul Maheshwari ma'am talked about resilience in her lecture. She said it that we have to be resilient. We should be positive. We should seek positiveness. We should see positiveness, and we should be self-aware, and we should be a decision maker by ourselves for our life. That time we start uh, blaming others, it means the other is more important than us. So make yourself more important than anyone else in the life. Be self aware. Start small meditation practices in the life, and value your time, value your life, and nothing is impossible, and there is no need to make everything possible. Even if you are avoiding something, avoid it with a great sense of pride and sense of satisfaction. All things are not meant to be done by you, and there is nothing that you cannot do. So believe in yourself, believe in your own, you believe in your own strengths, and work on the weaknesses. There is nothing like a mental disorder. I do not believe in this thing. If you are self aware about yourself, if you can love yourself, if you know how to pamper yourself, if you know how to value yourself, then no disorder can anytime come to you. So this is what. And there was a time actually, I am a person with some conventional thoughts. I believe that family matters most. There was a time when there used to be big families, बड़े बड़े परिवार होते थे, और अ, अ, हम उन परिवारों में बैठकर मजाक कर लेते थे, लड़ लेते थे, झगड़ लेते थे, जो जो इमोशंस होते थे वो वहीं पर उन फैमिलीज में ही रिलीज हो जाते थे. तो यहाँ पर हम जो विद द एडवांसमेंट ऑफ इन आवर सोसाइटीज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, आज उसको डिप्रेशन है, आज उसको स्ट्रेस है, एंड समवेयर दीज टर्म्स हैव बीन यूज्ड एज अ स्लैंग. कहीं पर बड़े ही लूजली यूज टर्म्स हो गए हैं, ये बड़े ही लूजली यूज किए जाते हैं. जो साइकोलॉजी की किताबों में बड़े भारी भरकम शब्द माने जाते थे, वो बड़े ही आजकल आम भाषा में आ गए हैं. दिस पीएसटीडी, पोस्ट ट्रॉमेटिक स्ट्रेस डिसऑर्डर, अगेन ये एक बहुत भारी भरकम शब्द है. हेलुसिनेशन, इल्यूजन्स, these are the words which should never be taken for granted, and I believe कि इनको बहुत हम संभल के यूज करें. हमें स्ट्रेस है तो ही हम यूज करें. हम एक्स वाई जे किसी भी चीज को स्ट्रेस और डिप्रेशन का नाम ना दें. हम किसी भी चीज को, क्योंकि हमारी लाइफ में थोड़े से चैलेंजेस हैं, क्योंकि टीचर ने आज 2 असाइनमेंट्स एक्स्ट्रा लिखने को बोल दिए हैं, या फिर टीचर ने आज थोड़ा सा काम एक्स्ट्रा दे दिया है, या मेरे ऑफिस में मेरे कलीग से मेरी थोड़ी खटपट हो गई, या ऑफिस में बॉस ने कुछ कह दिया, तो ये सब तो लाइफ का हिस्सा है. ये लाइफ नहीं है. ये सब चीजें आपकी लाइफ डिफाइन नहीं कर रही हैं, लेकिन ये आपके बिहेवियर को शेप कर सकती है. हाउ यू विल रिएक्ट टुवर्ड्स दीज सिचुएशंस. सो दीज आर वेरी मच सिंपल पार्ट ऑफ द लाइफ. जिंदगी नहीं है ये मोमेंट्री चीजें. कुछ चीजें जो 10 मिनट के लिए आती हैं, 15 मिनट के लिए आती हैं, एक दिन के लिए भी आती हैं. हमें उनको बहुत हेल्दी मैनर में लेना है, जस्ट फॉर ए लर्निंग पॉइंट. those small things should not define us. This is what I can say. And congratulations to the whole team of AIE, my colleagues who have always been there with their vibrant thoughts to make everything happen in best possible manner. They are my strength. They are my right hand, and they are my left hand, and they are my brain, and they are my backbone. They are everything to me. That is why AIE is AIE, because of such beautiful souls around me. Wonderful people are there with me. Congratulations to the entire team of AIE Thank you to all the resource persons. Priyanka ma'am, thank you so much. Thank you everyone who have joined us in this journey of 7 days. And this is not a journey of only 7 days, but yes, this is something that we will keep on talking on time to time. And our faculty members, all the resource persons have ensured our students also, and all those who have joined us in this SFDP that they can talk. They are feeling something different, then yes, we have the resources around us. They can anytime contact with them, and we may be the medium. If someone wants to contact with any of our resource persons, they may contact us. And Aparna ma'am was also there from Lady Evening, Professor Aparna ma'am. She also came up with a lot of games in the session. So if anyone wants to issue those games, they may contact us. We will make those games accessible through Aparna ma'am. And again, amazing students, thank you very much to you all for wonderful anchoring and for coming up with your good communication skills to utilize this platform for showing your uh, skills for learning something new. This is all I want. I always want from you people. Thank you so much. Thank you, Juhi ma'am, for listening to your instinct that yes, mental health is something I want to do in it, and you are wonderful in that. And you may go ahead with more of the learnings, with more of the contacts in your area. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, KIPBM, for collaborating in this event. And not last but not the least, they should be the first one. Thank you, God, for gracing us with good mental health. Thank you, management of AIE, for giving us all opportunities, for chasing our dreams of doing something different. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for always motivating us. Now, I would like to end this session with few lines. कि अगर सब कुछ मिल जाएगा जिंदगी में तो तमन्ना किसकी करोगे कि अगर सब कुछ मिल जाएगा जिंदगी में तो तमन्ना किसकी करोगे कुछ अधूरी ख्वाहिशें ही जिंदगी जीने का मजा देती हैं
आपकी बात पे कुमारी लतेश, एक मैं भी एक कुछ दो लाइनें बोलूंगी कि बेहिसाब हसरतें न पालिए, बेहिसाब हसरतें न पालिए, जो मिला है उसी को संभालिए.
थैंक यू मैम.
All right, Latish. With this, we wrap up. You can wrap up, right? Okay.
Thank you everyone for your cooperation and attention.